Just do your thing here, bud. Nobody's any better at this than you are.
Have fun, take a deep breath.
Give them hell at the end. You like this?
Fight like hell like we do every week. You are the best here.
Brett, be affirmative. You told me to get on. Info.
Ready. Ready. Go slow. Green, green, green.
Lock it down, lock it down.
I'm destroyed, and I just got drove through like 6 times on the 14th. What the f*** is he thinking? That is the stupidest thing I've seen in my career. Literally.
Everything you described is accurate. Haven't even finished the second stage yet. Half the field's wrecked.
Hell yeah.
11 got it. Rowdy there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work.
Keep putting yourself in position. We'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
10-4, great job, guys.
And welcome back to Racing in the Draft. My name is Mark. Thanks for tuning in today for a should be very exciting first road course of the year at Circuits of the America, or better known as COTA. But before we get to that, let's take a look back at a boring then exciting race from Atlanta, the new Atlanta Superspeedway, or Mini Superspeedway as they called it. Where, no surprise, Joey Logano, who is very good at super speedways, ended up taking the win. Led a dominating 140 laps. Didn't quite see that happening, but I think after the Xfinity race and the just absolute debacle that they had, I think the Cup drivers said, you know what, we're just going to take it easy for the first 2 stages, and that's exactly what they did. They pretty much followed the leader, which was Joey Logano. But things turned around for the final stage, and they got pretty racy, got too wide, and ended up not tearing up a ton of equipment. But we did have quite a few movers from the back to the front. Corey LaJoie, Ty Gibbs, and Eric Jones all making up the place differentials. And Tyler Reddick coming from 16th up to 5th. So 4 place differentials. That's kind of where I thought. Was not real sure about the Dominator piece, but Joe Logano starting first, finishing first, and leading 140 laps definitely put him top of the charts with 84 points. So good for Joey Logano, locked into the playoffs, past last year's champion, so see if he can repeat. But other guys not in the optimal lineup that probably could have made cash lineups or tournament money. Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, AJ Allmendinger coming from 30th to 16th, good for him. Noah Gragson, Ross Chastain. Ricky Stenhouse finishing 17th, not bad for Ricky, and Martin Truex Jr. But our optimal lineup challenge after 5 races, we now have got a couple guys separating themselves. William Byron, Kyle Larson, Michael McDowell, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Michael McDowell. He's a pretty good road course racer. Wonder if he'll make the charts this weekend. All right, let's head back to the Eco Park Automotive Grand Prix from Circuits of America, where last year Ross Chastain got his first win and Trackhouse's first win in the Cup Series. So pretty special place for Trackhouse and Ross Chastain, the Watermelon Man, who had quite a year last year. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe button. If you're just joining in, hit me up in the chat. Let me know that you're here. And if you've got any questions, concerns, thoughts, who do you think might come from the rear? Who do you think might not come from the rear? Who dominates, who doesn't dominate? But either way, we are at Circuits of America, our first road course and true road course of the year. Track length is 3.426 miles in length, 20 turns, the most on the NASCAR circuit. The race length today is 68 laps. Dominator points will only be consisting of 47.6, with coming from 17 points of laps led and 30.6 of fast laps. Dominator points are really not going to be something we're really interested in. You could easily have the Dominator who more than likely finishes in the top 5 anyway, so we're really kind of looking for finishing positions today. And along comes with the finishing positions, higher points, and probably place differential if we're picking the right guys. Hey, family man, welcome back. Good chatting with you this week. I'm here. Reddick looks pretty good to dominate. Blaney is a must-have, and value play look pretty spread. Yeah, pretty spread out. Yeah, values are kind of everywhere, and there's a lot. Kind of, we'll get into that with some value plays. There's going to be a lot of people who are on Ryan Blaney today, starting 38th. He had an issue in qualifying, but was pretty fast during practice. So we'll get to both of them here in a minute. And there's one from the back that I don't have a whole lot of interest in that I think a lot of people will. All right, so when we're doing comparisons, I typically only looked at road courses, not the Roval style, which would be the Charlotte Roval and Indy Roval. I did much more of the Circuits of America, Sonoma, Road America, and Watkins Glen, who are all just traditional road course type tracks. All right, let's break these drivers down. I'll kind of go over our first one here in a little more detail to kind of give you everything that you're looking here, so you can kind of understand. And if I happen to miss something, you might understand what you're looking at. But we have Kyle Larson, 10,400. He qualified 13th. In this gray area here are his practice speeds. He was second on single lap speed. We only had 2 drivers get 10 consecutive laps in just because of the length of the road course, and they were doing a lot of 2 and 3 lap runs and coming in and doing a little bit of adjustments. But Kyle Larson had 18 total laps of practice, and if we averaged all of his laps together, he was 7th on the average speed chart. So that's kind of the practice speeds, and that's kind of, in my opinion, that's very important to kind of look at where they're going to fall for today's race. Qualifying speeds, because they bump the air pressures up, they aren't conserving their tires. They're going to, they'll go out and they'll run as hard as they can for those 1, 2, 3 laps to get the higher qualifying spots, but after that, the car is going to really fall off because they ate the tires up, where during the race, they're going to probably conserve a little bit on tires. So I think running the practice speeds is much more conducive of where I think they may end up within the race. Now, starting spot's very important for us in Draftkings because we've got place differentials, and it's also, you don't want to be, it's much better to start in the first 4 spots at COTA going into turn 1 because they fan out 5 wide and they all condense back in down to 1.5, 2 lanes of racing. So there's typically some beating and banging, some bumping, and some people who get put into the gravel trap, which I don't want to keep an eye out for. But keep going down here. Like I said, I used Road America, Sonoma, Watkins Glen from last year, and the 2 COTA tracks we raced at earlier, or last year and the year prior, for my comparisons for my 5 races, where Kyle Larson has 1 win, 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s, and 5 top 20s in those 5 races, a 34.7 Draftkings average, and a 7.6 average finish. Last year at COTA, he finished 29th, so the last time they were here. And this is total road courses, including Roval starts. So since Kyle Larson had started in the Cup Series, he's got 26 total 26 total finishes on road courses where he has 3 wins, 7 top 5s, 10 top 10s, 18 top 20s, and a 14.8 average finish. Then if we come up over here to the top left, I have Kyle Larson ranked number 1 on my ranking system, and that breaks down the last 5 races, the last 10 total road course style, including Rovals, qualifying, and the last 10 total races that they've run in the Cup Series. With all that kind of inputted in and different parameters put on it, Kyle Larson comes up as being first. And qualifying spot being kind of big because we have place differential. So I have him in 35 to 40% of my lineups. I don't tell anybody what I have solidly for one particular driver or not. I kind of give you a range, but I run 40 different lineups. And out of those 40 lineups, I have him 35 to 40%. So you can kind of get a close estimate that I've got him in somewhere between 14 and 18 probably 14 or 17 lineups. So that kind of gives you a guess of where I'm falling with Kyle Larson. I'm probably a little heavy on the field, considering I think he will probably come in the 20s, 25% range. And I'll kind of give a breakdown on that as we go through the rest of these cars. But that's the full length breakdown of everything that's in this box. If you have any questions, let me know. All right, next in line here, we've got Kyle Busch, 10,200, starting 9th. He was 4th in single lap and 4th in average speeds on practice, so pretty good in that number 8 Chevy. 13th on my ranking systems. He finished 28th in this race last year. He does not have a top 5 or a win in the last 5 road courses, but all those were in Toyotas, and he's in a Chevy this year. So maybe Toyota can find speed at road courses this year. Last year, they really fell off the cliff and did not have speed on road courses, but practice kind of shows at least 2311 has got some speed. So the other Toyotas are still kind of struggling a little bit, but maybe Kyle Busch being in the Chevy this year will come back to his road course paralysis and get back to where he kind of has 3 wins out of 46 races and 30 top 20s out of those 46 races. So I've got him ranked 13th, and I've got him in 25 to 30% of my lineups. Ross Chastain next in line here, last year's winner, 10,100, starting 12th. He was 3rd in single lap, 2nd in average out of 15 laps. And Ross Chastain has the best average finish, just edging out Kyle Larson with a 7.4 average finish and a 47.7 DraftKings average for the 5 last road course races we've been to. And he's got 1 win, which was last year's COTA race. I've got him in 35 to 40% of my lineups, starting 12th. We got a little PD upside play, and I think Ross Chastain could easily be defending for a top 5, if not defending his race win from last year. Same thing with all these guys. I think they're easily top 10, so that's a good finish. Family Man, yes, you like Chastain a lot today also? Yeah, like you see, I've got him in 35 to 40% of my lineups. So out of the guys that are starting up front, Kyle Larson and Ross Chastain are 2 of my favorites. I've got another one that I like as much here coming up right here. Tyler Reddick, 9,900, starting 2nd, finished 5th in this race last year. He won at Road of America last year. So really good road course racer. He also finished 1st at the Indy Roval course. He was 2nd in qualifying, 1st in single lap speed, 3rd in average speed over 18 laps. He's got a 10.8 average finish. Yeah, I mean, he's got 14 total starts on road courses, and he's got the average of 12.3, which is the best in the field for average finishes for their entire career on road courses. And Tyler Reddick had really, really good speed earlier, so 2311 definitely unloaded that car fast. And his partner in crime, Bubba Wallace, also unloaded pretty quick, but we'll get to Bubba Wallace here in a minute. But yeah, I've got 30 to 35% ownership in Tyler Reddick. Don't love his starting spot, but I think if he finishes where he starts, that's going to be enough because he'll probably end up leading some laps also. All right, next here, AJ Allmendinger, yesterday's Xfinity winner, and who was battling with Ross Chastain last year for the win when he and Ross kind of got tangled together, and AJ Allmendinger ended up finishing 5th instead of finishing 2nd. But either way, AJ's extremely good on road courses. As we all know, AJ Allmendinger, the road course ringer, that's really kind of between him and Boris Said, really got the name road course ringers in the Cup Series. But AJ Allmendinger, always really, really stout when it comes to road courses. And the main reason he is running a full Cup season this year is to be qualified to make the playoffs. And Colleague Racing really thinks that AJ will get at least 1, if not 2 wins on road courses and make the playoffs that way. So good luck for AJ. I like him a fair amount, just as much as I like Tyler Reddick. And starting 7th, I think he easily battles for a top 5 also. I think these 5 guys could easily be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in no particular order. today, and I think DraftKings kind of priced him right where they should be. So it's kind of tough you got to find a couple of cheaper options and value options. Once we get down to those, we'll kind of show you those. But 35% ownership on AJ Allmendinger today, 9,700. He was 18th in single lap, but 6th in average lap speed. So a little slow on one speed, but once you average them all together, he was almost top 5. So I do like AJ today. He's got 2 wins in the Cup Series on road courses. He's got a 14.2 average finish, so I think that's pretty solid. William Byron, ooh, buddy, was he fast in qualifying? And once again, I think he set the car up to be fast in qualifying. He wasn't bad in practice speeds. He was 16th and 8th on his average over 16 laps. The only concerning part that I have with William Byron is he doesn't have a top 5 ever on a road course in the Cup Series. They finished second yesterday in the Xfinity race, but he doesn't have a top 5 and only has 1 top 10 out of the last 5 road courses and 6 total top 10s out of his 20 starts on road courses. And starting from the pole, that concerns me a little bit with William. Now, he's fast, and he's gotten much, much better at road courses. It just concerns me starting from the pole, as anybody knows that's watched any of my shows. I don't really particularly ever like the pole sitter. They tend to hurt you more than they help you. I mean, last week, Joey Logano hurt me. That's okay. That's a chance I take. But if it were AJ or Kyle Larson that were starting from the pole, or Tyler Reddick starting from the pole, I'd probably have a little bit more ownership. I just don't trust William Byron on road courses with your practice lap speeds and your past history on road courses. That concern me. So, if William Byron finishes 7th, which is respectable, but when it comes to being with DraftKings, I don't like William Byron's starting spot. So just a little concerning. I think he could easily finish in the top 10, but I'm not sure that puts you in the optimal lineup anymore. It'll do good in a cash game, but in a tournament situation, no, I don't think it will. Christopher Bell, 9,300, who's another one who has a history of running fairly well on road courses, but recently has not. He's got a 20.2 average finish on true road courses. He finished 3rd. Did he finish 3rd in this race last year and I didn't transfer that right? Hold on, let me check that. Did something wrong when I did that. Christopher Bell. Yeah, he's got 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, and 4 top 20s. So this didn't transfer over right. And he's got a average finish of 12.8. Yeah, I just didn't fix that right. So, sorry about that. Yeah, Christopher Bell, 18.8 average finish, 20. Nope, that's not right either. I don't know what didn't transfer right. Either way, we'll get back to this. Sorry about that. I always find something that I mess up on. There it is. But Christopher Bell, he did finish 3rd in this race last year. Starting 14th, we got a little PD upside play. But the Toyotas, at least coming out of Joe Gibbs, didn't show great speed in practice. So that does me have a little bit concerned. 17th and 17th, 14th in qualifying. Okay. I've got to get that turtle out of the cage when I start these things. I don't know if you hear him in the background or not, but he's just wandering around. Yeah, I have a turtle. Actually, it's my son's turtle, but his name's Sammy. He's pretty cool. All right, Ryan Blaney, 9,100, who will be probably, if not 60% owned, might be 65% owned. He's really good on road courses to begin with and just messed up qualifying, which is a benefit usually. And this is one of those situations, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you don't have him and he gets up into a top 10 situation and you don't have him, you're not making the optimal lineup because he is. If he does poorly and you do have him, you're going to be in the same boat as everybody else. Because like I said, I think he's probably going to be 60% owned. And if you happen to not have him and he does bad, you're probably going to have a decent day because the rest of the field is going to have him. So I've got him in 50 to 55% of my lineups. So about a little more than half of my lineups have Ryan Blaney. I mean, because there is that outside chance that he has trouble in the first couple laps and ends up finishing 39th, you're going to beat most of those other people that had him. So I see the pros and cons to it. And like I said, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I think you need to be running multiple lineups today. Running just a single lineup is extremely dangerous because there's too many variables and too many guys that are scattered out amongst this field that could easily win this thing or run really well. So you just have to run multiple lineups today. I'm not saying you need to go out and run 150 lineups, but like I said, I mean, running 5 or 6 different lineups and having Ryan Blaney in 3 or 4 is probably safe. But I would have 1 or 2 that don't have Ryan Blaney in it, just for that weird chance that he doesn't do it. Family Man, I've got Blaney 65%. A 20th place finish gets him 41 points. Yeah, and 41 points, once we get down to the road course breakdown that I have for optimal lineups in the past, 41 points gets you really, really close to being in the optimal lineup, or at least doing really well in cash tournaments and just regular tournaments. So, like I said, Ryan Blaney, I think it's just you almost have to have him. But like I said, you want to run a few that don't have him, just for that pure chance that he doesn't do well or has trouble early. Daniel Suarez, $9,000. Let's talk a little bit about Daniel Suarez, who was decently fast in single lap. I think he just had a slowdown on one of his practice laps, which gave him a 29th average. I'm not too concerned about that because it was just one lap he had a slow issue on. And maybe he got stuck behind somebody. It's hard to say. I don't have a full breakdown of every lap that these guys ran. I just have all the speeds for them. But Daniel Suarez, and I think probably one of the best changes that NASCAR has done this year is we will not have a stage break. They're not going to throw the caution. And if that had been the case last year for Daniel Suarez may have absolutely stunk up the show last year. Now, of course, we probably would have had a few cautions, but Daniel Suarez literally was out 8 to 10 seconds in the first stage. And the only reason he lost that lead was because of the stage break. Well, this year, they're not throwing the caution at stage breaks. They're just rewarding the points. I'm not saying Daniel's going to go out and lead the first lap. He's going to have to get around some really, really fast cars. But it's much more of a, hey, we're not throwing cautions for stage breaks. So this thing could go green the entire race? Doubtful. We've got too many things, and the tire fall off is too big where these guys are going to end up sliding off the track or sliding into each other. But the thing is, we don't know when those cautions are going to fall. And if you watched the truck race yesterday, you saw the caution bite Kyle Busch badly. His crew chief wanted him to come in, but Kyle Busch said, no, I'm going to stay out a few more laps if I'm okay. And they said, yeah, you got fuel for 6 more laps. And he stayed out. Caution came out. Everybody else had pitted. Well, he had to pit, and he fell behind everybody else because of it. So I like the fact that they got rid of the cautions on stage breaks for road courses. Now, if they could just get rid of... I don't mind having the caution come out on ovals. I just wish the caution laps for stage breaks wouldn't count. My personal opinion. But, what am I? I'm just a guy that talks on YouTube. But, so Daniel Suarez, starting 5th. Decent practice speeds. I'm throwing out the average. Yeah, I didn't do something right here because he won at Sonoma last year, which is a true road course. Either way, we're going to keep going here. I've got him in 15 and 20% of my lineups. I do know that he's starting 5th and was 5th in practice. Austin Cindric, also very fast in his Ford. 8,800, starting 3rd, was 7th. No more short pitting for the state. Yeah, it's going to be just old school. They're going to take the total laps. They're going to take the 68 and they're going to run it backwards. Whatever they think they can get for mileage and tire wear, that's optimal, and they're gonna work this thing from the finish to the start. I don't think you split it all the way into thirds and have 2 stops. I think tire wear is going to be too good that you have to have at least 2 stops. I don't think you can make it on one. I think you can make it on one, but I think you'll be so slow by the time you get to the end of both of those tire runs that it's not worth it. So I think you come in and you get 4 tires every caution, unless they're back to back. But other than that, I think if you've run 10 to 12 laps on your tires, you come in and get tires, plain and simple. But Austin Cindric starting third, 7th in single lap, 1st in his 10 laps of average speed. Cindric's good on road courses, and in the first year at COTA, Austin Cindric led laps, and he was not even a Cup Series full time. So with that being said, Austin Cindric starting third has me slightly concerned, not overly concerned. He's a good road course racer, but there is a potential of more harm than good starting third from Austin Cindric. So it's a toss-up. If you've got him, all right. I'm not going to try to talk you out of it, but I just don't trust Austin Cindric still to this point. I didn't fix these cars at all, did I? No, I really screwed up today. The Denny Hamlin's right. The Alex Bowman's not. All right, either way. Ignore the pictures. I didn't do it right. I was tired last night. Joey Logano, 8,700, starting 15th, 9th in single lap, 9th in average laps. Just missed on qualifying just a little bit. I think he just kind of left his car set up for the race run, which is fine. He's locked into the playoffs for the most part. He finished 31st in this race last year, but on road courses, he's got 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s, 3 top 20s, 16.4 average finish. Do I think Joey gets up and battles for a win or a top 5? Probably not. Does he kind of settle in 7th or 8th? Probably, which is a decent amount of place differential, especially at a road course. So I've got him in 15 to 20% of my lineups. He came up in 4th. Cindric, Family Guy. Cindric is sneaky. Do you think he will be owned a lot? No, I think he's going to get overlooked. And starting third, I think that's going to hurt him starting third. More guys are going to be looking for these place differentials coming from the back. So with that being said, you can go off the beaten path and probably get him at probably a pretty low ownership. I mean, he might only be 10% owned, maybe 11% owned. Now, his practice speeds were good, but Cindric could be a sneaky ownership play if he finishes the race well. If he doesn't, then that kind of ruins it, but that's with everybody. Alex Bowman, 8,600, starting 6th. Was 20th in single lap, 10th in average speed. Not bad. I never know what to do with Alex Bowman. Not that he's bipolar. His racing is bipolar. It's one week he's awesome, the next week he's garbage, and the next week he's awesome, and then he's awesome again, and then he's garbage. There seems to be no real middle ground. It's way all over the place with Alex Bowman. Starting 6 scares me a little bit, to be honest. He's decent at road courses. He's not a ringer by any means. I think he's a 6th to 15th place driver on road courses. Starting 6th, that just scares me. I just don't think you go anywhere better. So I've got him in 10 to 15% of my lineups. Makes me a little nervous. He's fast, but he's not. He's got to be consistent. As long as he doesn't have any issues in pits or get tied up with anybody, he probably finishes 10th. Is losing 4 spots the end of the world? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, he ran this track really well last year. He finished 2nd. And he was kind of in a distant 3rd until AJ and Ross Chastain had their issues. So is Alex Bowman, like I said, he's bipolar on road courses. So I don't know what to do with Alex Bowman. His practice speeds weren't fast enough for me to think, "Ooh, that's somebody I got to take." So it is what it is. Take him or not. I've got him in a few lineups. But at 8,600, I don't love it. Denny Hamlin at 8,500 starting 21st. The problem with Denny Hamlin is Joe Gibbs Racing unloaded slow. 19th in single lap, 19th in total average, qualified 21st. They're kind of picking up right where they left off last year at Gibbs. I mean, as you see, it's not that bad that Denny's bad at road courses. 44 total starts, and he's got a 32 top 20s, a 15.3 average finish. Last year on road courses, Toyota and Gibbs stunk. As you see, he only got 2 top 20s, 22.2 average finish. I'm not sure Toyota figured it out. Reddick figured it out. 2311 figured it out, but the Gibbs cars haven't figured out road courses yet. Still, I mean, what was Christopher Bell? He was right here. I mean, he's starting 14th. He unloaded 17th and 17th. Not great. So yeah, I don't know what to make of Denny Hamlin starting 21st. Yeah, there's PD upside potential here, no doubt. Finished 18th in this race last year. For 8,500, that's got me worried a little bit. Until all of Toyota and Gibbs start running better at road courses, and they used to be really good at road courses. They used to be the team to beat on road courses. Martin Truex Jr., unstoppable on road courses. Not recently, though. So, still a little concerned about road courses and Gibbs, which concerns me about Denny. But starting 21st, if he can put something together and get some good pit stops going, that 21st ends up in a top 10, and that ends up putting him pretty close to being close to the optimal lineup, or at least doing really well in cash tournaments. Next in line, Chase Briscoe, 8,300. Starting 19th, your practice speeds were not great. Your average at road courses, not great. Finished 30th in this race last year. With all that being said, I don't have a whole lot of ownership in Chase Briscoe. And the 14 Ford out of Stewart-Haas has been a little hit or miss this year. All that combined has me a little bit worried about Chase Briscoe today. So I'm going to kind of back off of Chase Briscoe starting 19th. I mean, I would rather take a Denny Hamlin that I know is probably going to just end up finishing where he starts than a Chase Briscoe who I don't know where he's going to finish. Or don't even have a guess where he's going to finish. I mean, especially with the practice speeds and being in the mid-20s. Yeah, not interested in Chase Briscoe today. If you are, good for you. Martin Truex Jr. starting 25th at 8,200. I mean, once again, we're back to Gibbs. 21st in single lap, 16th in total average speed over his 13 laps. Starting 25th. Yeah, I mean, once again, out of the road courses, he's only got 2 top 20s. When he's got 4 total wins out of his 42 starts, I mean, at 10% or whatever that is. 15.5 average finish. 29 top 20s out of 42 starts. I mean, his stats are close to what Denny's are. Almost identical. But you unload 21st and 16th and then qualified 25th. That has me concerned. And if I'm Gibbs, I'm concerned. Especially when Ty Gibbs ends up being the fastest Gibbs car. Yeah. A little concerning there. Kevin Harvick, $8,000, starting 29th. Now, Kevin's not the best road course racer. He's also not 29th. But they unloaded kind of like, you almost wonder if they unloaded a Gibbs car. 22nd in single lap, 27th in average lap speeds, starting 29th. I mean, Kevin's a top 20, top 15. And he'll quietly do it too. It's just, he will just quietly be there all day, and the next thing you know, we'll be with 5 to go, and Kevin Harvick will be sitting 5th. Well, if Kevin Harvick's sitting 5th, starting 29th, that's a huge Draftkings upswing. I mean, it was a 14th place average finish last year on road courses, finished 11th at this race last year. Yeah, 29th, I think this is a gift all day from the DraftKings heavens. He's going to be probably heavily owned, though. I'm probably guessing 25-30% ownership in Kevin. I think the play would be a Ryan Blaney, a Kevin Harvick, and then if depending on who you can fit, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, and then some values. And we're starting to get closer and closer to value range. Brad Keselowski starting 30th. They didn't unload very well either, 24th and 21st in practice speeds. But has an 18th place average finish on road courses. Finished 14th in this race last year. I mean, if Brad goes from 30th to 14th again, that's going to put him right there for being really good for tournaments, much less he's going to be really good for cash. I mean, you can interswap Kevin and Brad without too much of an issue here. I think Kevin's a better play because I think Kevin's a more consistent driver. But Brad's been pretty good. Bailey Man, how difficult do you think it would be for drivers to make good adjustments during the race? With it being a road course, I think good adjustments are harder to make than a typical mile. Yeah, because typically on a 1.5-mile track, number one, we're going to have 2 set cautions for stage breaks. Then typically we're going to have 2 or 3 more cautions where they're going to come in and get tires and make adjustments. Where today's race could easily be 2 stops. So 2 shots of making adjustments. Now they had 50 minutes of practice, and then they had a 15-minute long qualifying session, and then a 10-minute qualifying session for the guys that made it in the top 10, which Kevin and Brad did not. So you had 50, 65 minutes of adjustments to make. Now, the weather's going to be hotter than it was yesterday morning when they qualified. It's going to be much more of what we saw for their practice. So that's why I'm also leaning a little bit more on practice speeds than I am qualifying speeds. I'm looking at the qualifying for place differentials. But, yeah, I mean, they're going to get 2 shots. Now, of course, we're probably going to have 1 or 2 cautions also, if not more. Depends. If they have 4 or 5 cautions and these guys are able to come in and make adjustments, especially Brad, who's, I mean, if he's starting 30th and let's say 10 laps in, gets a caution and he's still running 29th, or even 4 laps and he's still running 29th and having issues, he's going to come in and get 4 tires and they're going to make adjustments. I think they've got 5 sets of tires for this weekend and they've used 1, so they've got 4 more sets. So tire wear is big, but there's enough tires to make adjustments. Depends on how many cautions they have. If this thing goes green from start to finish, yeah, we're going to see practice speeds really come in to be the true thing. So, yeah, it really depends on how many cautions they get. But my guess is that 4 stops, decent amount of that. And then it depends on when you stopped, how you got out of pit road, where you're sitting, whether the adjustments are going to make a difference. Yeah, I think you have a chance for adjustments, but it's going to be much harder than being on a 1.5 miles. So I think you're definitely there with that thought process, Family Man. Chris Buescher, 7,700, starting 32nd, unloaded 31st, 23rd on average in practice. He has a 12.0 average finish on road courses. I mean, Chris Buescher ran really well. I mean, it was him and Suarez battling for Sonoma last year for the win. So the possibilities there. Did they make the right adjustments? Can they get back to at least being 23rd fast? I hope so, because I've got him in 20-25% of my lineups. And I think he's going to be heavily owned at $7,700. Yeah, I mean, he's got a better average finish than Kevin or Brad over the last 5 road courses. I'm really shocked at how slow Chris Buescher unloaded. It just does not seem what I did not think that was going to be the case. So either they've got an issue and hopefully they fixed it, or he was just slow in practice and could be faster in the race. Not real sure. Jordan Taylor, 7,500, a road course ringer of road course ringers. Filling in for the number 9 UniFirst Chevy for Chase Elliott, who will be in the booth. That'll be interesting to hear him analyze this race. Unloaded fast, qualified fast. My problem is I mean, he's going to have a fast pit crew. He's going to have the fastest pit crew of all the road course ringers in the race today. That's going to help Jordan a lot. Can Jordan get up there and play rough with these guys up front? I don't think so, because he's even said it's crazy how hard these guys drive against each other. Yeah, I mean, we got Kimmy in the race. We've got Jordan Taylor in the race. We got some road course ringers that are used to open wheel and are not used to banging fenders with each other. If you remember, Kimmy had a really good race going in Watkins Glen last year once he figured out how to race the car, and ended up having an issue with may have been Ross Chastain. And he was running in the top 10. I like Kimmy a lot today. Verdict's out on Jordan Taylor. Now, Jordan Taylor, I think one of the biggest issues that road course ringers have ever had is they usually get put in to the 15 or the 78. Not saying these cars are bad. They just don't have the caliber pit crew that a Chase Elliott has, which Jordan Taylor is going to be the beneficiary of. So when he comes in, he's going to have that 10, 11 second pit stop, where even Kimmy is going to have a 12, 13, 14 second pit stop, which is not bad, but you're losing 3 or 4 seconds on the track because of it. And Jordan Taylor has not had a whole lot of practice pitting this car. This car pits differently than the cars that he's been used to driving. I think he runs well. I think he potentially even is a top 15. But starting 4th, finishing 15th, you don't make the optimal lineup. In fact, you're really far away from it. I'm not even sure you make the top 15 in Draftkings points. So I don't like Jordan Taylor today. I think he's going to end up doing okay, but okay is not good enough when you're starting 4th. He needs to get out and lead and win races. And I just don't think Jordan's going to be there at this point. Eric Jones, 7,400. Unloaded pretty quick. Qualified really well. Yeah, but your averages don't show that you do well at road courses, Eric. 2 top 10s out of the last 5 road course races. Okay. No top 5s, though. A 16.4 average finish. And even after qualifying, you were kind of like, yeah, I don't know where that was. That was really fast. I'm happy with it. I'll take it. But he seemed very shocked that he was that fast in qualifying. So that has me a little bit concerned, especially when you've got, Noah qualified really well. He qualified 10th also. So that's both the cars out of Legacy Motor Company. I think it's Motor Club? Whatever. The old petty GMS racing stable. I think Eric Jones qualified too well. Just my personal opinion. I think he's a top 20, maybe top 15, and he might finish where he starts. Better than that, I don't think Eric Jones does any better. Jimmy Johnson, $7,300. And boy, did they just miss on unloading. And did they miss on qualifying? 31st. I think Jimmy Johnson's going to be heavily owned starting 31st. The problem is he's only run this car once before in Daytona. Completely different, miles apart from each other on setups and how they drive. I've got him in 15 to 20% of my lineups just for the simple fact he may end up doing pretty well, and it's Jimmy Johnson. But wow, did they miss setup completely? So back to your question, Family Man, do they have an opportunity to change the setup and make it better? For Jimmy Johnson's sake, I hope so, but I'm only got 15 to 20% of my lineup. So, hope he figures out a little bit and does pretty well. But yeah, Jimmy Johnson should be a top 20 by this point. Top 15, especially in qualifying and practice, and was way off. So, little concerning there. Michael McDowell, 7,100. Unloaded quick. 6th in single lap, 11th in average speeds. And literally first lap of practice, he puts it in the gravel pit and just can't recover from there. But Michael McDowell has a 7.4 average finish on road courses over the last 5 true road courses. Finished 13th in this race last year. Has got a top 5. In all 5 races, he's finished top 20. Starting 20th. Michael McDowell, my guess, is probably a 7th, 8th place driver. And at 7,100, here's part of your value. I really like Michael McDowell a lot today. I wish I could have fit him in a little bit more of my lineups. But I do have him in 25% of my lineups. I think he probably comes in 15 to 18% owned. So I'm probably a little heavy on the field. He's still sneaky. People just don't, when they hear Michael McDowell, they go, oh, the guy that won Daytona. And that's all they think about. He's actually really probably better at road courses than he is at super speedways. All right, Kimi Räikkönen, $7,000, running the 91 for Trackhouse. Trackhouse is fast. Kimi has done this before. His last race in F1, he won at Circuits of America. Now, he unloaded a little bit slow. Once qualifying came, he picked it up. And if he hadn't had the issue with Ross Chastain at Watkins Glen, Kimi was in the top 10 and running and passing people. If that's any indication, so out of all the road course ringers, and I don't like road course ringers, the guys that come in for one-offs just to run a road course typically don't have great pit crews. They don't know how to pit stop these cars. They don't know how to beat and bang and be rough because they're typically coming from the open wheel ranks. So I've got him in 10 to 15% of my lineups. He scares me, but out of all of them, I think Kimi may end up with the best finish. Now, that best finish might be 20th. And I don't think that's enough when we're talking about everything else. Bubba Wallace, almost like his teammate Tyler Reddick, unloaded pretty quick. Out of all the Toyotas, 8th in single lap, 15th in average speeds over 17 laps. He qualified 11th, but oh my God, is this guy snake bitten on road courses? 0 top 20s in the last 5 road courses. A -9 Draftkings. I mean, the Kimi is a one-off, -6. Bubba Wallace, this is a over 5. He's got a 36.6 average finish. He finished this race 38th. Out of 20 total road courses, he's only got 1 top 5, 2 top 10s. And you qualified 11th? And the Toyotas aren't that fast? Yeah. That qualifying spot scares me. Take him with caution. That's all I can say. I have been a few lineups, just kind of one-offs, just in case the front of the field wrecks and Bubba Wallace gets through it and is able to do well. Now, he was running well until he had pit stop issues last year at Circuits of America. But, I mean, as you can see, he finished 38th. I mean, he lost a wheel. His pit crew screwed him. But that was Bubba was getting screwed every week by his pit crew last year. Another one, road course ringer, Jenson Button. I mean, 12th in average speeds, okay. 24th in qualifying speeds, okay. But you're driving the 15. Yeah, I mean, good for Jenson Button to be in this race. It brings more F1 potential fans. Because, I mean, Kimi's a F1 champ. Jenson Button's an F1 champ. I mean, we're getting some European eyes on our sport, which is awesome. But, oh, yeah, I mean, he's going to lose 3 or 4 seconds in pit stops. Even on a yellow flag pit stop, he's going to lose 2 to 3 seconds. And you're not used to beating and banging. So, I don't have any interest in Jenson. I think it's great that he's there. Fabulous. Love it. Ty Gibbs ran 3rd yesterday in the Xfinity race. Picked up right where he left off. And he showed, probably out of all the Gibbs cars, he was the fastest. 11th in single lap, 18th. I mean, he's better than... He was almost as good as Bubba Wallace. Not even close to being as good as Tyler Reddick. But starting 17th, you gave me a little bit of hope on PD upside with you. I mean, 26th place average finish out of the one start. I'm trying to remember, that was at Watkins Glen, where he was running well and ended up, I think, getting tied up with William Byron, if I remember correctly. But starting 17th, there's a little bit of PD upside play with Ty, so I've got him in 15 to 20% of my lineups. The Toyotas, like I said, especially the Gibbs cars, scare me a little bit this week. I mean, one of these road courses, they're gonna show up and they're actually gonna be fast again, but they don't seem to be fast in practice or qualifying. So, not sure that bodes well for the race either. Austin Dillon, 6,400, starting 28th, unloaded 30th and 25th, and an average finish of 21.4. Did finish 10th in this race last year, so there's a little bit of upside to the just not very fast. Yeah, like I said, I've got him in 25 to 30% of my lineups. It's a coin flip. I needed to save money somewhere. And Austin Dillon starting 28th. At least he's got good pit crews. He's got good engineering, and he's okay on road courses. So that's why I've got him in a decent amount of lineups. Justin Haley's sneaky, and he has probably one of the best road course coaches in NASCAR. Partnered up with AJ, and AJ has been working with this kid every race, and he's consistently gotten better and better in road course finishes. Finished 15th in this race last year. He had a top 10, I think, in the Indy road course. And he says that he and AJ worked together a lot on his road course skills. So starting 23rd, Justin Haley probably is a 17th, 16th, 15th place finish. Unless there's some attrition, then he can get himself up into potentially a top 10. Starting 23rd has me a little bit worried because his speeds weren't really there in practice either. I'd have him in 25 to 30% of my lineups, but once again, I mean, we're in the range of we have to save some money, but we've got to pick some guys who got decent pit crews, can make decent adjustments, and are not awful at road courses. And Austin and Justin aren't awful; they're not great, but they're not awful. Ryan Preece, $6,000, starting 26th, unloaded 23rd and 22nd. Okay. Had one race where he finished 15th. Other than that, there's not much road course experience for Ryan Preece. And the 41 has struggled a little bit this year. I don't have much interest. I would rather take an Austin Dillon starting 28th than a Ryan Preece starting 26th. Just my 2 cents. And I'd rather take a Justin Haley giving up 3 spots in PD potential. So I don't have a whole lot of interest, and I don't have much ownership in Ryan Preece today. Eric Almirola, 5,800, starting 39th. He was awful in the Xfinity car yesterday. He was awful in practice. He was awful in qualifying. Starting 39th. He's gonna be heavily owned, and I have no interest in Eric Almirola today whatsoever. If Eric Almirola goes out and scores a top 20 or a top 10, I might as well just rip up all of my Draftkings because I'm not going to do well. I have him, I think, in one lineup, and I'm not even sure I've got him in one lineup. I think this is a setup. In fact, I even talked to Family Man about this yesterday and was like, everybody's going to be on Eric Almirola, and I'm in another group of friends that all play Draftkings, and every one of them that sent me lineups had Eric Almirola in it. I think he gets 40% owned today, and I have absolutely no interest in Eric Almirola in any of my 40 lineups. You do what you want with him. Ton of PD upside potential, but there was no semblance of any speed coming out of that number 10 car. And yes, Family Man, Almirola is horrible at road courses. He finished 19th in this race last year. I don't know how, to be honest. I just, no interest whatsoever in Eric Almirola. You do what you want with him, but I have no interest whatsoever. All right. I mean, we're getting close to that hour time. Noah Gragson, 5,600. Noah, you outkicked your coverage. You practice 25th and 28th, and then you go out and score a top 10 starting spot. Good for you, Noah, but yeah, I mean, to get that, he burned his tires up. I don't know if you watched qualifying or not, but his tires were literally smoking the entire time. He was way overdriving that car. Super aggressive. Good for him for starting 10th, but I think by lap 7, Noah's going to be in the mid-20s if he runs that car that hard to start that race. Just my personal opinion, and he's too aggressive. Todd Gillen, 5,400. Got to save money. Remember, guys, starting 36, he was 27th in single lap, 30th in average speeds for practice, 26th in his total for 4 starts, finished 16th in this race last year. Like I said, we got to save money, and I'd rather take Todd Gillen all day over Eric Almirola. I know that sounds strange, but I would rather take Todd Gillen over Eric Almirola starting 3 spots better. I've got him in 15 to 20% of my lineups at $5,400. Once again, got to save money somewhere. Harrison Burton unloaded really quick. This 34th was an issue on, not of him, but I think there was an issue on that single lap when I was looking at the lap speeds. Like he was good, really bad, and it wasn't the So, and he qualified 16th. You qualified a little too high, kind of like Noah. I think you qualified too high, but Harrison's decent at road courses. Scares me a little bit starting 16th, though. I've only got him in 5 to 10%. And he's one of my favorite plays is Gillen. Yeah. I wish Harrison Burton was starting a little bit further back because I think he probably is a 16th to 20th place finish, which doesn't do me a whole lot of good for DraftKings. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., when I first saw this, I was like, what? Ricky Stenhouse is 5,200. And then I was like, oh, yeah. He's almost as bad as Almirola. But he practiced really well, qualified really well. Curious to see if that lasts. I mean, you win the Daytona 500, gives you a lot of money and a lot of opportunities to get better. Maybe they put some more money into this road course program? Maybe. I've got him in 5 to 10%. I mean, 5,200. Once again, we had to save money. Got to have a couple of these guys in these lineups to fit some of the big dogs. Corey LaJoie, 5,100. Starting 27th, you way out your coverage, Corey. I know you're having a great year, but even you say you are not good at road courses, and you might be as bad, if not worse, than Almirola at road course racing. So no interest in Corey LaJoie today. So if Corey LaJoie and Eric Almirola go up and finish in the top 10, I'm screwed on DraftKings. Plain and simple. Connor Daly in the 50. This is the prime example of probably somebody well, not prime example. He is very good at road courses, not in cup cars. And if he had a really good pit crew and had a good engineering team behind him, maybe. But you're driving the 50. It's a makeshift group of people just to go run road courses. And it's bad. It's really bad. I think the 50 is the money team. Throw some more money at it. Hire some really experienced people. I don't. No interest in Connor Daly. He barely has finished races. Yeah. Cody Ware. Cody Ware is actually a decent road course racer, but he sucks at driving stock cars around road courses. Kind of sucks driving stock cars. But when your dad owns the team, you get to drive a race car. So no interest in Cody Ware either. Ty Dillon, I have a little bit of interest in. He finished 20th last year in this race, 21.8 average finish. So not great, but starting 34th, $4,700. I'd rather have him over Corey LaJoie, Cody Ware, Connor Daly. Yeah, any of these guys. At least he knows how to save his equipment and gets to the end of a race. Him and Stenhouse car is a lot better than anyone in his price range. Stenhouse can get to 15th at the end. 31 draft. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I like Stenhouse and I like Ty Dillon for big time savings and Todd Gillen. Those are my three savers if I'm trying to save some money. I mean, Josh Bilicki's another one that's kind of sneaky. At 4,600, people are going to probably get him because he's 4,600. For Ty, if he gets to 25th, yeah, it's 26 points. I mean, that's plenty for 4,700. Same thing with Josh Bilicki. If Josh Bilicki can get up to 25th, I mean, get to where he finished last year, and you just made value work really well. The problem is I just don't have any because I didn't like his practice speeds. I mean, he was right there with Cody Ware, and Connor Daly in practice speeds. Not that Ty Dillon was much better, but at least Ty Dillon cracked into the top 30. You think 26 points at 4,700 can be optimal? Ooh, maybe. Depending on who you've got stacked with him. Better have first, second, third, and fourth place stacked with him. And then maybe a 10th place Ryan Blaney. But yeah, guys that I think are going to be probably not highest on. I guess that's really, I didn't label that right. Guys that I think potentially are the ones to look at for top fives: Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, AJ Allmendinger, Tyler Reddick. Place differential, guys. Ryan Blaney, hands down, will probably have the largest place differential unless he goes out and wrecks this thing in the first lap. If he just goes out, minds his own business, and takes his time, Ryan Blaney's going to be a top 10 driver. Probably easily a top 20 driver. I expect him to be in the top 10. Unless he gets tied up with somebody else's issue. And that's the scary part about taking Ryan Blaney, but he's going to be 60% owned. Hands down. Yeah, and I think Eric Almirola is going to be right there close to him. It's a sad thing. And Ryan Blaney is way better of a road course racer. It's not even night and day. It's on the other side of the world difference between Ryan Blaney and Eric Almirola. So I have no problem taking Ryan Blaney all day. Like I said, I would not put him in every lineup, though. That's scary. Even if he is in the optimal lineup, I just don't think you should run him in every lineup, especially if you're running in these big 152 or 20 lineup fields. Run him in half, yeah, but don't run him any more than that. But other than that, Kevin Harvick coming from 29th, Chris Buescher coming from 32nd. All good options. Martin Truex Jr. is a great road course racer if Toyota could figure it out. 25th is a great starting spot for him. He could be easily a top 10 driver if Toyota figures something out. Good, decent finishes, probably Joey Logano, maybe Denny Hamlin if Toyota figures it out. Same thing with Christopher Bell. Kyle Busch driving the Chevy, starting in 9th. I think he's easily a top 5 finish. But for value, Michael McDowell all day long. Connor Daly, no. Justin Button, no. Austin Dillon, yes. Stenhouse Jr., yes. Down here, where I think they disqualified a little too well, but could be potentially somebody I like. Todd Gillen, I do like. Eric Jones scares me. Justin Haley, if he listens to his teammate, yes. Ty Dillon starting 34th, yeah. But Cody Ware, Noah Gragson, I don't have. I did this before I did all my lineups and realized that, yeah, I don't have any Connor Daly. I don't have any Justin Button. I have a little bit of Kimmy. I don't have any Jordan Taylor. I don't have any Corey LaJoy. Yeah, so. All right, so optimal lineups for COTA from last year and the year prior. Now, the year prior, you have to remember, they only did 54 laps, and it was an absolute monsoon. It was devastating. So kind of throw this one out the window because it was just wackadoodle. Plain and simple. I put it in here because that's just what I do. I do the last couple races. Last year's much more better indication. But Ross Chastain, 16th to 1st. I mean, it was 4 place differentials, 2 value, 2 finishes, $600. The lower 8K range is stacked with PD plays. Yes, Truex, Keselowski, Buescher, Harvick. And I like Keselowski and Harvick best out of that grouping. Buescher's practice speeds scared me, and Truex in the Gibbs camp scare me because they don't seem to have gotten their stuff together. Maybe they should go lean on 2311 a little bit and figure out what the heck's going on. But yeah, I mean, we had It's all place differential and all finishing position. When we look at Road of America, which is very similar in lap length and the amount of laps that we run, that didn't turn over right. I didn't fix this one. So we'll just look at this one here. Either way. Chase Elliott first, finished second at Road America. Tyler Reddick fourth to first. Not a whole lot of PD up play. Kevin Harvick from 28th to 10th. Daniel Suarez from 17th to 5th. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. There's our Ricky Stenhouse Jr. from 33rd to 19th. And Chris Buescher just hanging out in the top 10, just like he did in Sonoma. So Chris Buescher's a decent play. Like I said, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. could be sneaky. Kevin Harvick could be right there for us. But either way, I appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe button. Family Man, thanks for joining. I'll get with you on Discord. Yes, I plan on trying to get a Discord together. And that way we can kind of have discussions and stuff throughout the week after pricing comes out and things of that nature. And you can also, we can help each other out and hopefully win some decent money. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm a little late. It's an hour and 6 minutes. I try to keep this thing to an hour, but we had a lot of different things going on this weekend. It's not the normal average weekend. So that and I missed first place yesterday in the Chrome Horn. Ben Rhodes came around, turned 20, and got the axle knocked out of it. If he had just finished third, I would have finished first in the Chrome Horn and taken the $1,000 pot. And then I literally had 20 mile lineups in the happy hour and 20 mile lineups in the Chrome Horn for the Xfinity race. And my best one in the happy hour, if it had finished in the Chrome Horn, I would have finished first again. So I had a really good day yesterday with Draftkings. Hopefully this will carry over for today. Good luck today for everybody. It's a beautiful day in Texas for some racing. Good luck. I appreciate Family Man for hanging out and helping me out this weekend with some different ideas and thought processes. So if you've got thought processes and ideas, hit me up. Hit that email, and we'll get you into a Discord server with us, and we'll keep winning some money. Good luck. Have a great weekend. I appreciate you tuning in. Bye.
Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight, getting the W, so got to be around at the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Let's go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checkered. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker time, baby!
Hell yeah.
Proud of you there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work.
Keep putting yourself in position, we'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
10-4, great job, guys. Excellent work, my man. Excellent work. Thank you.
Man, that's awesome. Set out with a goal, we got it here, bud. Thank you very much.
Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the fastest car here, bud.
Probably killed our deal there. Just feel like I gave one away.
Yeah, boys. Way to rebound. Great job.
Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend.
What a weekend. Good job. Thank you.